we were stretching things out because Sister Chelsea was running a little late. I'm just glad she got here safely. That's what, I didn't want her to rush because things happen at times. So I don't know all the fancy words about saying this and that about the Lord, homie, but all I say, holy Lord.
That's all right. That's all right.
Let go, let God. Let go, let God. Thank you. Now, so everyone has the program, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a visual that I'll be talking about with the shepherd and the lamb. I'm making 2 points. I want to make 2 points in this. And the scripture was, behold, I will trust in the Lord and not be afraid. For the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song.
All right.
Now, a few years back, as all of you know, as most of you know now, that there are 3 members in this church who are Mason, and we all held the same position, which is grand worthy patrons. We all had a scripture, and that was my scripture. I don't know what Deacon, I can't remember what Deacon's, I think it's soar like eagles. I forgot what his scripture was, and I forgot what Robin Williams' scripture was. But this is my scripture, and who helped me was Pastor Michael Turner. That was a few years back. And we were talking about it, and he was explaining it to me and this and that. And that's been my scripture, because they wanted a scripture, and I said, well, my scripture was going to be whatever sticky situation I was in. That was going to be my favorite scripture.
Okay,
This is the one.
right.
This is the one I embrace. Now, as you can see the front, you see the shepherd and the sheep, and that staff he has, the shepherd's staff or crop, as they call it. Okay. Now, that means something. That staff and that curve means something to the sheep and the shepherd. The shepherd who had the flock, he had maybe 2 or 3 dogs who helped him. And as he moved his flock along, he never went behind. I mean, he never led the sheep out. He was always behind. He always brought up the back end. Okay? And the dogs who were trained from puppies knew everything that he wanted to do. So as he would bring them up, and he knew all his sheep, and he knew whether one was missing or not. And if he was missing one, he would go looking for it, right? And that's like the shepherd of the church. If he doesn't see that sheep in the church, right? He's wondering what's going on. Is something wrong? This and that. He would ask about him. Is he okay? That's why he says, give me a call, let me know whether you're not going to be here or not. And that way I won't worry, because I know everything is okay. So he's not getting any of your business, but he just want to make sure everything is okay.
Right.
Now, that sheep is lost, even at night, if he has to go look for that sheep, because it wasn't left behind him, because he was always trailing the sheep, and the dogs were leading him to the pasture. And even if he had to walk all night to find that sheep, that one sheep, he would walk all night. He would go around and look. Okay, now remember there was other shepherds here, there, and he couldn't call them because they didn't have a phone. And he couldn't put a drone in there to look to find out where they were at. So he would have to walk. He would walk, and as he walked, he would stretch out his circle as he trying to find that one sheep that was lost. If he found it, that was fine, but he just wanted to make sure he would bring it back. Now, as he was taking them to the pasture, he would give the signals to the dogs who would lead the sheep to where they was going. Now the sheep, if you notice, the sheep were always packed together. Why? Because their vision was very poor. They couldn't see from this pulpit really to the back of the church, to the back of the wall of the church. That's how poor their eyesight was. So that's why they was always bunched up. So if one strayed away, the dog
Bring them back.
bring them back.
Mm.
Just like the
Okay.
master wanted to make sure
Okay.
he was okay. If you strayed, he would bring you back. Try to keep you straight. He wouldn't lead you. He wouldn't definitely lead you. He would make sure you was going in the right path. Okay? So that's why if you look at other animals, they stretch out all over the field. But the sheep, they always stay in bunches, and the dog knew what to do. So when he would finish feeding them, when they would finish grazing, he would give the signal to the dogs, to the shepherd dogs, and the dogs would know to lead them to the water so that they could drink. Now, when they got to the water, remember, the dogs would lead them to the still water.
Go ahead. All right.
Okay? Because the sheep couldn't see, but they would hear, if there was waterfalls or something, they would hear all that noise, and they wouldn't go into the water. So that's why you had to lead them to the still water. All right? That's where they would drink the water, and he would take care of it. And then, a little more paper.
You're doing good.
And he would take care. 1 second. And so that crock that you see, that crock or shepherd staff that you see, when he was with the sheep, he would have that cross there, and the sheep could visualize that. That staff would be about 6 foot tall, and they could see that as long as he was close enough. And that staff was a sign of trust and safety to them. Okay? So when he would go out looking for that sheep, when he would come upon him, he would lay that staff across him, and then sheep know he was safe and follow him back.
Wow.
And then he would follow him back to the herd, and they would go from there. So on that first part of the scripture, I will trust in the Lord and not be afraid. That's where that, basically, as I see it, because when I see that cross, I feel good. I trust that the Lord is around. And that makes me. And on the second part, we'll go to trust in the Lord and not be afraid. And he is my strength and my song. And that song, I'll say it on this part of the scriptures. Remember when, I know you've told this, when the people in the town, they would always go to the water, the healing waters. They would always go to the waters where the healing was at. That's what they believed, that these were the healing waters. So they would bring one person in, they would always bring him there. But they would sit him on the outside because they wouldn't hurry up and get in the healing waters themselves. But they would never put him in there because they would take care of themselves. So every day they would bring him, but he would stay out there. So when Jesus was coming into I'll say town, I forgot to. When he was coming in, the man was laying on his mat. And he seen him, and he called out to Jesus. Okay? Jesus came over and said, and he started telling Jesus what his troubles was and this and that. And then Jesus looked around like we do. You know how we do when we don't want anybody to listen to us or hear what we're saying. Look that way, look that way. He said, look, I'm going to help you. Okay? But you can't say anything. He said, okay. He said, now listen, I'm going to help you. But you can't say anything. So he said, okay. Jesus touched him, stood up, and said, now stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. Okay? He stood up, he picked up his mat, and he started walking. Okay? Now the healing waters over there. And he started walking that way because he had already been healed by Jesus. So he knew that he was the true life. Okay? So as he started walking, and he was smiling, and he moving along,
Happy.
and he's so happy. Give me a little of this here,
Yeah.
man. Everybody give me a little of this. Everybody give me a little of this. He's walking, and the people are saying, isn't that, he's sitting on the mat, and he's like, yeah. And they was asking him, he would go, no, I'm not saying anything. And then, when it got too much for him and all the joy and happiness in him, he stood up and said, hey, help me. I said I was going to tell nobody, but I couldn't keep it to myself. I couldn't keep it to myself. Said I couldn't keep it to myself. Said I was going to tell nobody, but I couldn't keep it to myself. What the Lord has done for me.
Save my soul. Lord, and there. Free on the road. Start walking. Start shouting.
Lord has done for me. One more time. Said I was going to tell nobody, but I
Couldn't keep it to myself. 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 The Lord has done for me. Yes. Think about
That
it.
part tells me that
Think
when
about it.
the things that I know that the Lord has done for me, the situations He kept me out, I can't help but to shout, yes.
That's all right.
Trust in you.
All right.
I will say your name as much as I can. And after that, all I can say is, that's all.
That's all right.
That's all, folks.
That's all right. Yeah.